your business to new insane revenue levels doesn't have to be overwhelming. It's all about the right strategy, team, efficiencies, and confidence. Welcome to the Entrepreneur Evolution podcast. With over 1 million downloads, it's the go-to business podcast dedicated to business owners who want to evolve out of operating in the day-to-day and make their dreams come true. I'm your host, Annette Walter, and I'm so happy you are here. As a former banker, I have now been an entrepreneur for over 15 years and have started, grown, acquired, and sold over 20 multi-million-dollar companies to date. Together, you and I will strengthen your existing business, build your dream team and process, grow your wealth and legacy, all while surrounding you with a community of rockstar entrepreneurs just like yourself. Are you ready to evolve? Let's get started. Welcome to this week's episode of the Entrepreneur Evolution podcast. I am really excited to share our guest this week with you. Karla Starr joins me, and we talk a lot about her journey into becoming an author, what sparked it originally when she was younger in her childhood days, to what led her most recently to co-authoring a book with Chip Heath entitled Making Numbers Count: The Art and Science of Communicating Numbers. She is honest and real and humble and shares great information about the power of your network and also the power of courage. Enjoy today's episode. I am really happy you are here. I see what you're doing on the sidelines, business owner. I see how hard you're working. I see you showing up. And guess what? Things are going to continue to be successful for you and continue to pay off. If you haven't already had the chance to chat with me one-to-one, I encourage you to book that breakthrough session. We are making huge strides in business owners' lives with these 20-minute sessions. They are free to you, so make sure you take advantage of these. I'll point you in the right direction. I will resource share. I will be as open as possible and to help you launch into the next level of your business. So make sure you reach out. The link is below in the show notes. And make sure you just take some notes here. You're going to enjoy our episode today with Karla. Thanks for being here. Keep evolving. Welcome, Karla.
Welcome, Annette. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm really excited that you are here. Congratulations on the new book. We are joined today by Karla Starr, who is an author, and her first book was Can You Learn to Be Lucky? Why Some People Seem to Win More Often Than Others, and most recently, Making Numbers Count: The Art and Science of Communicating Numbers. I love it all. So I can't wait to get started with you. I normally really start off with wherever you want to begin in your journey to share your story with us and catch us up to speed. So you can go back as far as childhood or post-college to kind of fill us in on how you got to become an author.
Okay. Well, we can go back as far as when I was 8.
Mm-hmm.
That year, I won the science fair for a project I did on the difference between boys and girls' brains.
Oh, wow.
And I was also picked by my teacher to represent my class at a little writing conference at a local college.
Oh, wow.
So I think, the seed was planted. Okay, apparently I like writing, and also I like psychology and behavior. So I think that's kind of funny, decades later, that's exactly what I do.
Yes. So true. So it all starts with a science award, and it's those are the moments that really just stick with you and carry with you.
Yeah, it's so funny. These little random things in life, they can just kind of set you off on a completely different trajectory, and you don't always know what's going to do that or why. And I just think that's so funny because so much of it just has to do with how I define myself or what I thought I was capable of, or what I thought I was good at. And truth be told, I could have been told anything else, and then I probably would have worked really hard and done that. No one is born a writer or born good at science. It's just it's something that you are interested in,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just keep learning. So
That's great. That's great.
yeah.
So let me ask you this, rewinding to your 8-year-old self. Do you remember why you picked that topic for the science fair?
Yes, because there was a cover story in Time magazine
Mm.
on something about that, and I remember it was on our coffee table for a while, and I read it, and apparently I don't know if my teacher didn't realize that I was very, let's say, very closely inspired by
Right.
the cover story, but I ended up giving some of these questions to my classmates, and it was actually kind of fascinating because all the answers that like lined up to all of these research studies.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
really fascinating. You definitely were much more advanced than I was at 8 years old. I think mine was like, do goldfish know how to kiss? And we would basically put our pinky in and we'd be like, see, they kiss, they know how to kiss. I just got a flashback of all of that. So thank you for
That's
taking me back.
adorable. Yeah.
Not as sophisticated by any means. Okay, so fast forward us, college, post college. What did your life look like through that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've always been, in the writing club, and I was on the school newspaper.
Mhm.
Funny story, the guy who was my editor at my high school paper, he's now he was also the student council class president, and he is now a politics reporter for Business Insider.
Wow, very cool.
Very cool. Yeah. And then my creative writing teacher in college, he went on to, he majored in politics, and then he moved to DC and, got some job as a speechwriter for like a very young senator.
Mhm.
And that senator was Barack Obama. So
Wow.
he ended up becoming like the chief foreign speechwriter for Barack Obama, and then, policy analyst. And now he has like 300,000 Twitter followers. And
Wow.
so you never really know, what's going to happen to people. But anyways, so I was always in writing clubs, and always was just writing on my own. And I was always interested in behavior, but I never really realized that was what I loved writing about for a long time. So I was, say probably the best job I had was after college. I was maybe 25. I moved to Portland, Oregon, and I, by coincidence, I met 3 people who worked on the weekly paper
Mm.
in Portland, and within a few weeks of moving there, and they needed somebody to write the book reviews. They had just had some layoffs, and so it was a very like the lowest paying job you can imagine. I think I made $40 a week.
Uh-huh.
But every single author who came to Powell's, like I got to interview them, I got to meet them.
Very cool.
So, I profiled like Susan Orlean, the New Yorker staff writer who, Meryl Streep played her in Adaptation.
Yes.
And so I got to meet all these people like that. And every single person who came, I just said, how do I get to be a writer? Like, what did you do? Tell me your life story. So it was like a master class in exactly what to do. And then that's just pretty much, what I always wanted to do. I wrote a couple of novels when I was in college.
Mhm.
Those didn't sell. And so I thought I'll try nonfiction. And so then, the paper, and then I started writing for other publications, and then, I wrote a book proposal. And so it's just kind of been a long journey, but I've loved it.
Wow. Well, you're bringing up so many good topics here that our audience of all business owners at various different stages in their companies can really relate to. First of all, the power of your network, right? And sometimes you don't realize how powerful it is until even after the fact and years later, right? Like that one buddy or pal that you had in study class or writing group or whatever, and really reconnecting with them.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. That was a huge chapter actually in my first book. Can You Learn to Be Lucky?
Mm-hmm.
So much like who you know. And what I've learned is you never know exactly who you meet, where they're going to end up or who they're going to be. There was somebody who was an intern when I was a writer at the paper in Portland. He was, a lowly intern, and he's now a staff writer at the New Yorker. There was a woman who was an intern in the photography department, and she is now, I think, the deputy editor of the Atlantic, like some prestigious publication like that.
Wow.
And they were both people who I thought like, oh, it's just her, at the time. I mean, very nice, but kind of like, oh, they're not up to my level. And no, that you never know. You never know
really
where people are going to end up. No.
You never know. I was doing a yoga class the other day, and it was like I was next to this guy in yoga class, and he was really good. So I kept on watching him. And then after the fact, it's like, voila, here he is, just beyond this average Joe in yoga class. Like it just, people have just amaze you in who they are. Right. So never judge a book by its cover. Right.
Never. That was something actually. So Carol Dweck, fixed mindset, growth mindset. If you've heard of those terms, I'm sure a lot of people have, but I interviewed her and she said that was, her one trick or whatever, or the way that she liked to think of social interactions was, just everyone has something to teach us.
Yes.
Right. So it's kind of this growth mindset, but applied to social interactions.
Yes.
And I love that because we do so often judge a book by its cover, and we think we know exactly who people are, but you never know who people are, who they know, where they're going to be. And I feel like the older I get, the smaller the world feels.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Mm-hmm. Well, I love how you brought up, as you were sharing your story, also, it's been a long road. And I appreciate you being honest and real and candid and open about that, because so many people can relate to what you're saying. So we also have a lot of people out there who've think about writing a book. So what would be your best advice beyond, knowing that it's a long road, but what would be some advice out there for business owners that feel like they have a book in them?
I mean, first of all, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I say that not, just honestly, I am not very organized. I never studied publishing or whatever, but it's honestly, it's just one of those things you just kind of learn as you go along. I think one thing that really helped me was looking at, some of the careers of people who, I thought I wanted, I aspired to be like them and where they had written for. Right. But honestly, just, gosh, I mean, I have so many things to say about this for people
I know
who want to write a book. I think, and I do think that everybody has a book in them, because everybody has the unique viewpoint. Everybody has a unique set of skills, a unique experience. And I think that one of the things that I see lately is I've been writing about, self-development and self-help. And I think it can be easy for people to kind of count themselves out. They think that maybe they have nothing to share, or maybe, you have to be a very, successful, straight, rich, white male, for people to hear what you say. But honestly, we need to hear from the people who don't see themselves represented. I think those are the people who have the best, the most important lessons, the lessons that people, other people could benefit from. And so I feel like if you feel like you have nothing to share, no, you do. You absolutely do. Everybody has something to teach us.
Absolutely. Well, and chances are when you're going through something really hard, there's definitely someone out there who is either going through it or has been through it, right?
I'm so happy you said that, because that's one of the things, all my life I've been told that I'm a little mouthy.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing, right?
I've learned that that's a good thing, because, I don't know how many times I would ask a question in class, and then people would come up after me, after class, and they would say, I'm so glad that you asked that, because I had the same question, but I just didn't have the courage to ask it or to speak up. And that has happened so many times now in my writing career where, I will write something, and then I think oh, should I do this? Shouldn't I? But then afterwards people will, they'll email me, thank you so much for writing that. I've been feeling the same thing for so long, and you actually just put it into words. So 100%, I think there's so many times when, you don't realize who else you could help. You don't realize who else is going through it. But I always feel like, I'm one of 7+ billion. I cannot be the only person on earth who is going through this or who has this question.
Totally. Well, and I love how you use the word courage there, because you are courageous and you're tenacious, and, it really takes that hard work to keep on going. Like you said, I'm not the most organized person, but I just did it. Right. I just kept on going. And those sparks and those comments and that feedback, that's probably what fuels you, right? What keeps you going. Right.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's kind of now it gives me fuel, and it also helps me imagine, oh, this, you're not just writing to this amorphous blob, people on those, reading those pixels, they're actual real human beings with real thoughts and real concerns and real dreams and real hopes and, real lives.
That's so good. So tell us about the first book. Tell us a little bit about that. And then we'll talk about how a first book feels different than a second book, right? Well, I guess, you've written many, many books, but let's just talk about these most recent ones, right?
Yeah, of course. So it was, I think, 2008, I had just been living in Buenos Aires in Argentina for a few years, and I moved back to the United States. And during the height of the Great Recession,
Right.
and I did not realize how bad the economy was. I legitimately thought that people were not having a hard time because everybody I knew on Facebook was posting, pictures of like their hikes. And
Right.
I thought that, and now I'm like, oh, I got here and I was like, people are posting pictures of their hikes because that is a free activity and a lot of them are out of work. And I was having a hard time getting a job.
Yeah.
And so, I thought, oh, what is something I really want to learn about, or what is something I need? So I thought if I could increase my luck, that would help me improve every aspect of my life, because things just felt so random. It felt really random, like who was out of work, who was having a hard time, who was thriving.
Right.
And it just seemed really random. And I wanted to like kind of, be able to like put my head around whatever was happening. And I got really frustrated because I was reading, books like, The Black Swan was really big, these books about like, life is random. We don't know what's going to happen. And then at the same time, another book that was really big was Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell.
Yes.
And which is, really fascinating book, but it was kind of like, these people made it. And so I thought, okay, so what's the connection? Like, how can people, quote unquote, make it despite randomness? And so I studied how these external events influence us and our, our psychology and our beliefs. And so I realized that, random events have a predictable, often self-defeating impact on our behavior. And so a lot of people end up selling themselves short when really it might be something in the environment, or it might be, something negative that a teacher told you when you were 8,
Right. Right.
And so we never really know. So I learned a lot about like just the power of optimism, and all of these things that really just improve my mental health and my resilience.
Awesome.
And so that was really, it was a book that I needed to write,
Totally. Well, and what did you major in college? Do you mind me asking?
Psychology and philosophy.
Okay, I was thinking that, but it was like I love how you are so observant and so aware of things, and that is a gift. That is such a gift, and to be able to dive deep internally and express that externally to help others is like, it's so powerful. It's so powerful. I was looking on Audible today. Is that you reading the book? Is that narrated? Was that your voice?
No, funny story.
Okay, I was like, I couldn't tell if that was you or not. I was like, it was just a sample.
I auditioned to record or to narrate my own audiobook, and I got rejected.
Well, you know what? It probably saved you a lot of time. Right? Maybe that's okay. It's not your thing, right?
Yeah.
But it gave you the space to write your next book. So tell us about making numbers count.
There we go. Right. So one thing I learned from my first book is that, say, you don't need a million readers or a million customers. You just need the one right one. You just need that one, because you never know where that will lead. So a few months before that book came out, I got an email from Chip Heath, who wrote like Switch.
Yes.
Dick, right, with his brother Dan.
You got an email from him?
I got an email from him. Hey, Karla, can I interest you in a lucrative writing career?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Gladly.
Yes. And I remember reading this, I was just like, "What is this real?"
Wow.
So he read my book and he loved it for whatever reason. And then we ended up working on this smaller project for Hilton. It was their centennial, so they wanted Chip to write something, some like marketing materials. So we worked on that for a while, for a few months together. And then, and then we were kicking around book ideas afterwards. And it was, the whole thing, I cannot tell you, I'm a big believer in the power of like mentorships, collaborations, coaches, because I think I did not realize when I was writing how different my process looked from other people's process.
Right.
And so it made me realize, like, we're never aware of our own blind spots, right? They're called blind spots.
Right.
And I think I was kind of secretive, I think maybe, shame, or I didn't, want to express these things or tell other people what my process was like. But I learned so much shadowing somebody else and seeing what his process was like. And it helped me improve my own so much. And so I completely forgot. I'm off topic, I'm sure,
No, no,
but
no, no,
I'm
no,
just
no. This is so good. I love everything you're saying because it's like, eh, gosh, you don't know what you go through until you really grow through it, right? So had you not had that experience of the first book, and that's like every solopreneur out there is like, oh my God, that's so me, that's so me, that's so me, that's so me, right? You're going through it, and then you don't really realize until you really do level up and get the help you didn't even know you needed, right? The
yes,
help you didn't even know was out there,
yes,
right?
yes.
So you having this post meeting about brainstorming about a book with him, and how does this title come about? How do you and Chip come to this title or this idea of this next book?
Well, the idea was, partly from his first book, or yeah, Made to Stick. He was teaching a class about that at Stanford Business School, and one of the principles was, be concrete, don't use numbers. And at one point, he had a student say, "Well, actually, I'm in finance, and my whole world is numbers."
Right.
So there has to be a different set of principles for me. And so Chip kind of worked on that, for part of a class for years. But then he said, I have been noticing a lot of numbers, lately. What do you think about this idea? And immediately I thought, like, oh, this is like low hanging fruit. Why has nobody written about this before? This makes such perfect sense. So then I didn't just stick to the Made to Stick material when I was researching it. I just kind of went off on my own path, and then think that was something that it was just the more people we talked to, the more we were like, oh no, we need to write this book. It
Right.
just kind of stuck out, and after so many ideas that we kind of discussed back and forth, it almost just seemed like, oh well, this is the obvious one. Like, this is what we have to be writing about right now.
Yeah, people need this, right?
Yeah.
So how how does it feel? How's it going? So exciting. First of all, I have to say, Alex on my team, she's my director of operations. She's amazing. And she's like such a Chip fan. She's like, do you understand, Annette? Today's interview, I was like, I totally do. And I'm just as excited as you are. So like, if she could have done this podcast, she probably would have. And I'm sure she'd just be like, so excited. So it's so cool. Like, it's so cool that you are here and you wrote this book with him. So like, how is it going? Tell us all about it.
It's crazy. It's good crazy. I think one of the things that I did not realize, especially like for my first book, is, I stopped writing and I thought, like, okay, like my work is done. And really how it works for people who have bestsellers is they say, okay, I'm done. Let's take a couple days off. And now we start with marketing.
Right.
And then we just hustle. Right.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, before I thought, creating the product or creating the service was 95% of it. And I'm like, no, that's half. Maybe that's half.
Right. Right.
Now you start on the work.
Right.
And you put it out into the world, and now you push and you push. And even if you've had 4 best-selling books, you keep letting people know, hey, I'm here. Hey, I have something new.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially now, like, our attention is so splintered,
Mm-hmm.
and we really just do have to like find new ways to kind of get people's attention. And so I've been doing that. It's been great. It can be tiring,
Yes.
hearing myself talk or seeing myself or
Right. Right.
the same thing. But at the same time, it's so nice just to be able to talk to people like you.
Mhm.
And I really, I have to say, it's so much easier talking about these things or putting it out into the world when it is something that I believe in and something that I know to be helpful.
Mhm.
And that has been just wonderful. So I think, it's just been such a wonderful experience. I do think it is funny though, because, we say, oh, we're such a fan of someone's work. But you never really know what someone is like until you work with them. So,
Right. Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Fair. Very fair. That's right. Never judge a book by its cover, but then you never know what's under the cover, right? Same thing. Okay. So how do you feel right now? How do you feel in your evolution? How are you feeling? What do you have your eye on next that you're at this like point? What are you excited for? How are you evolving?
I feel very excited for my next project and what I want to write about next. But I also feel very happy to just be able to take advantage of the opportunities that are coming up now. Like I just got a column for Medium, and that's been fun. And I've been doing getting some like calls about consulting, working with people for things in the book.
Great.
That's been great. And so, as you said, like this conversation is just going to happen organically. And I think that that's just the best way that things kind of go about, instead of just kind of having this one fixed path and this one, things are going to go this way. It's kind of, actually that's part of luck, right? It's just kind of like being open to like whatever comes along and being able to recognize good opportunities instead of trying to force your own way onto the world. And I think that people can miss out on so many things when they're just closed and they just want to go through things.
So true.
One particular
it's so true.
Yeah.
And things are ready for you. You just have to be ready for them, right?
Yes.
And depends when you're really ready for them, right?
100%. I think, the universe only gives you what you can handle.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. So as we're wrapping up here, I want to know, do you have a personal mantra or saying or anything that you go through that, kind of you have to repeat to yourself when you're having those moments of doubt or showing up again or courage? Be brave. I see it. You're pointing to it. I love it. Be brave. It's great. Yeah. It's really great.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's gotten a lot easier for me as I become more compassionate to myself and like kinder to myself, and just allow myself to make mistakes and look at them as learning opportunities instead of signs that I am a dismal failure and, I'm not meant to do anything. Yeah. I think it has really helped me. I think one of the things, working with Chip is just seeing like how he just kind of was able to take a lesson like, oh, okay, well then we're doing it this way and move on instead of dwelling in it forever. And I think that just that power of like resilience, like getting back up. I think that is one of the things that really compounds over time, because you don't realize how much time you can kind of waste. It's a negative mindset instead of just kind of learning, dusting your pants off and okay, let's keep going.
Mm-hmm. It does compound. It really is like toning a muscle and making it stronger and stronger. And then when you don't work it out, you got to build it back up again. Right.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. You gave us so much today. Honestly, so many good things. Thank you so much. How can the audience, how can I support you, help you? What do you need from us?
You can go to Substack. Actually, my website, kstarr.com.
Okay.
Go
two
there.
R's.
Yes, 2 R's. KSTARR. Sign up for my mailing list. I have a newsletter on Substack. Support the journey and become a paying member if you would like. I'll send you some free things. I also am writing on Medium now. And so if you want to become a member of Medium, if you, sign up with my link, that'll help me.
Great.
Yeah.
Good.
Or if you want, also, I'm going to be putting out a class on making numbers count. Yeah.
Good. A class on that. So that'll be coming to us in the newsletter if we want to sign up for the newsletter to learn more about that.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Awesome. Well, that's all really exciting stuff. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for being here. Congrats on everything. And we're just so grateful. It was wonderful today. Thanks, Karla.
Wonderful being here.
Wow. What an episode. Did you learn something new? I hope so. I am so happy you were able to be here with us today. I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a review and I will be sure to read it and respond to you. Also, if you'd like to email me, my email address is yourock@iEvolveConsulting.com. Hit subscribe, and every Tuesday you'll get notification when the next episode drops. We really have some amazing interviews and tips in the future. Anything you need, I'm here for you. I want you to keep your momentum. I want to help you stay accountable. I want you to stay inspired. I want you to evolve. So please let me know what you need, and I'd love to hear from you. Take care until next time.